Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel, Joyfully here. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Guys, today I'm going to talk about altars. We're talking about altars today. It says, simply put, an altar is a place or a platform dedicated for sacrifice, service, atonement, offerings, petitions, and supplication to a superior being that is either to God, the creator of heaven and earth, or to other gods, which is little gods, which mean idols that exist or may have existed in other times and places. From a broader perspective, an altar is a meeting place among spirits and between the physical and the spirit worlds. In one word, an altar is a gateway in the realm of the invisible. So that's it. An altar is where the spirit meet, where the physical meets the spiritual. All right. Guys, let me give you some types of altars. There's a lot of different types of altars, so let me give you some types of altars. You have an effigy altar, you have a pictorial altar, you have a sand and a stone altar, you have a market altar, you have an astral altar, you have a crystal ball altar, you have a box altar, you have a marine altar, you have a forest or a tree altar, and you have a gate altar. So many different types of altars, guys. It is good to differentiate between thrones, altars, and temples. So we have to know what is a throne, what is an altar, and what is a temple. It says thrones are seats of judgment in the realm of the spirit. That's where judgment is handed out. And this can be found in Genesis chapter 41, reading from verses 39 to 41. While altars are places of intervention that are used by man, temples are dynamic in nature as they are highly individualized. Every human being is a temple that either carries the Spirit of God or the spirit of Satan. This is found in 1 Corinthians 6, verses 19. Remember, this said our body is the temple of God. So there's a difference between an altar, a throne, and a temple. According to scriptures, the first altar raised by man to God was the altar built by Abel and Cain, where they offered their first fruits unto God. This is found in Genesis 4, verses 3 to verses 8. After the flood, Noah raised an altar of thanksgiving and supplication, which activated a new covenant and a promise from God. The scripture says, "And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease." This is found in Genesis 8, chapters 20 to 22. As a result of this sacrifice by Noah, God responded favorably by establishing a covenant with him. And God said, "This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations." Genesis 9, verse 12. It says altars are raised for different reasons and purposes. When God appeared to Abraham, he built an altar to commemorate his presence. Genesis 12, verses 7 through 8. In Exodus, Moses raised an altar for God. Exodus 17, verses 12. When David wanted to stop the afflictions that came upon his people, he built an altar. This is found in 2 Samuel 24, verses 25. As Joshua journeyed towards the promised land, An altar was raised to God. This is found in Joshua 8, verses 30. The mighty Gideon also raised an altar unto God. This is Judges 6, verse 24. These are just a few of many examples. So a lot of altars were raised in the Bible, guys. On balance, these altars by these servants of God were raised basically as a memorial of thanksgiving, of appreciation, or anticipatory goodwill to draw the attention of God to pressing needs or issues. So we can raise an altar when we have an issue, when we have a pressing issues, whatever it is. You know, if you have a sickness, if you have, issues in your family, if you have issues at work, you can raise an altar to God because that's a pressing issue. Altars are therefore physical manifestations of sacrifices, and sacrifices are like the soul and spirit of an altar. So when we raise an altar to God, we have to make sure we're making sacrifices. Right? If I'm going on a fast and I want to raise an altar for whatever reason, I am doing a fast, so that's my sacrifice. Remember, guys, a fast is a sacrifice. You have different types of fast, right? You can choose not to eat, which is a dry fast. You can incorporate water, fruits, with a Daniel fast where you can have vegetables and fruits, whatever fast you want or whatever sacrifice you make, you can do it at an altar. But the quality of the sacrifice offered on the altar, it is the quality of sacrifice that defines, determines, and confirms the spiritual connections between the raised altar and the heavenly realms, right? So the greater the sacrifice, I am thinking the greater the sacrifice, I don't want to say the quicker I'm going to get an answer, but in my thinking and my head, maybe that's the quicker I'm going to get the greater sacrifice I make. Because remember, guys, not everybody can make, certain sacrifice. If you want to do a sacrifice of fasting and you have a particular sickness, say for example, you're diabetic, you're hypertensive, or whatever it is, and you're going to have to eat. You see what I'm saying? You are going to have to make sure your stomach has something in it in order to go on the sacrifice. But guess what? When I can look at the physical, God looks at the heart. So he will see your heart condition. This person really wants to do a sacrifice of whatever, but because of the condition, the condition that you have right now, you're not able to go on a dry fast, a full fast. So God will look at your heart. So let us not get that confused. It says, what differentiated Abel's and Cain's altar and caused the eventual acceptance of Abel's offering by God was not the altar raised, but the quality of the sacrifice, right? So Abel and Cain, they both made sacrifices. But Abel's sacrifice was more acceptable by God because he made a true sacrifice, right? Abel gave God the best, the absolute best. Cain gave God the first fruit. He probably went to his garden. He probably picked a pumpkin. I'm just saying, guys. He probably picked a pumpkin and he gave it to God. While Abel, he went into his cattle, his livestock, and he looked for the fattest, the best, and he offered it to God. So remember, the quality of our sacrifice is very important to God. It said the sacrifice offered to God upon any altar is a mirror of the quality of the heart towards God, our Creator. The depth of gratitude towards God is normally reflected in the size and the quality of the sacrifice we make upon God's altar. So again, it goes back. However, whatever the sacrifice that you're making, make it your best. When we're giving to God, let us give him our best, guys. One of the things that made King David a man after God's own heart was the quality of his sacrifice to God. King David said he would never give God anything that did not cost him something. King Solomon, David's son, was also noted for his generous sacrifices to God. So, this is what David said. I would never give God anything that did not cost me something. right? So his sacrifice is going to be, very great. His sacrifice is going to, have good meaning, good depth, because he's going to give God the best. Whatever he's giving God, it is going to have to cost him something. He's not going to just pick up any little old thing and say, oh, I'm gonna give God this, or no, I'm gonna make this sacrifice. No, it has to cost him something. What made God swear upon Abraham's blessing is the quality of the sacrifice he attempted to offer him when he obeyed God's instruction to sacrifice his son Isaac upon the altar at Mount Moriah. What moved God to take an oath over Abraham's blessing was the special nature of and the circumstances surrounding Isaac's birth. Guys, remember, Abraham had no children, and he asked God for this one, and God granted him. He blessed him with this son. Now, for God to bless you with this one and only son and turn around and tell you to take him up to that mountain, or to take him up to that altar and sacrifice your one son, guys, this take a lot of love, a lot of dedication, and a lot of faith in God to do this. This is where we're supposed to, draw faith and, try and see if we can get to this point. We need to get to have this measure of faith, because we remember it says we cannot, it's impossible to serve God without faith. So this is some serious faith Abraham had. For Abraham to attempt to sacrifice Isaac without any doubt or fear showed his love towards God. He had no doubt. He had no fear. Guess what? God told me to take this boy up to that altar and to sacrifice him and to kill him, and I'm gonna do that. Because guess what? I trust God. In order for God to tell me to do that, there must be something greater. He must have something greater for me. So I'm just going to obey, and that's exactly what he did. And you see how God was good? God made sure he had a nice little ram in the bush there waiting. So he said, hey, hold up, Abraham. You don't have to do that. Look, turn around. Look in the bushes. There's a ram in the thicket. Ain't that something? God is awesome. He was totally, this is Abraham now. He was totally committed to God, and God reciprocated by making him a channel of blessings from generation to generations. Abraham, by this act, challenged God at the altar of sacrifice. And that's what he did. He challenged God, like, okay, you say I'm to sacrifice my son, I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what you're going to do. I trust you. For you to tell me to do that, you must have something greater in store for me. So he challenged God, and he did as he was told. He became a spiritual icon in the act of sacrifice. What made Mount Moriah an altar of God and ensures it remains to this day a popular pilgrimage site for Christians, for Muslims, for Jews, and other religious faith is the quality of uncommon obedience demonstrated by Abraham there. Right? So, Mount Moriah is still a very sacred spot, because that's where Abraham's faith was tested. And guess what, guy? He passed the test with flying colors. He obeyed God. He proved God. You see what I'm saying? He was like, okay, he told me to do this. I believe him. I trust him. And I am going to do it. For in order to God to tell me to sacrifice this one son that I prayed for so long, and he has blessed me with this one son, and he's now telling me I have to go sacrifice this boy, I'm going to trust him. You see what I'm saying? This is when you develop trust, guys. You develop faith. And I'm going to do what God says. Right? I don't have any money, but God says I have to give this person. This is the last that I have. Right? This is my last money that I have to. I needed to go, pay my bus fare for tomorrow. This is my bus fare for tomorrow. But God nudged me and said, Joy, go and give it to this person. No, this is me. This is, all right, I'm going to test God. Let's see how my faith is. I'm going to test God, because he says I'm to do it, and I'm going to do it. So guys, if you can build altars. You can build altars to God. You can build altars. You can talk to him. You can offer your sacrifice. But we have to have faith and trust. Faith, trust, and believe. Be like Abraham. what I'm saying, guys? So thank you so much, guys, for sticking around. Thank you so much for always watching my videos, for giving me thumbs up. Guys, continue to watch, share, subscribe, and remember to give me a thumbs up. And be blessed, guys. I'll see you in my next little session. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye bye.